Okay. Hi, everyone. How's it going? I'm Danny from Maker Ed. I'm super excited to be here today with another Ask a Maker Educator. Today, we have two amazing Maker librarians who are going to share some of their experiences bringing making into their library spaces and talk about some of the steps they took to develop their programs and some of the potential challenges they faced along the way. So I'm really excited to introduce our two guests. We have Elissa Malespina from Somerville, New Jersey, from Somerville Middle School, and we have IdaMae Craddock from Burley Middle School in Albemarle County, Virginia. So I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you all a little more about what they do and their great work. So Elissa, why don't you take it away?
Hi, I'm Elissa Malespina. I am a teacher librarian from Somerville, New Jersey, as you said. I've been a middle school librarian, a high school librarian. I've done a little bit of everything. I've also been a supervisor of librarians. So, but I don't even know, like I could talk to you forever about different things, but I mean, making to me is just something that I'm extremely, extremely passionate about. So that's me in like a nutshell.
Great, thank you for sharing. And May, go ahead and take it away.
I'm a librarian at Burley Middle School, and this is my second year in middle school. I was a high school librarian at Monticello High School for several years before that. I am also a teacher librarian in that there's a lot of instruction, and I feel like having an affinity for making things just ingrained is part of, you know, how things go down in the library lately. I see Alyssa nodding, you know, it just seems like a natural extension of everything that we're doing. So having an affinity for those kinds of things is how I got into the making. So it seemed like I needed things, so we should make them.
That's I think my entire library right now.
Right, look, I need a case to hold my nook, so I should definitely laser cut that.
Oh, you have a laser cutter? I'm jealous.
I know, right?
Oh,
so jealous.
So it sounds like we're kind of already getting into this, but I would love to just start off if both of you could share one of your favorite recent stories from your makerspace. So something that your students made or a project that came about or just something that really excited you.
I'll go first. I mean, I have so many stories. My kids have really got into 3D printing, and they haven't really learned it. We haven't really taught them it, but I've been like, here's Tinkercad. Go on your own and try to figure it out. And I have these kids that are right now really like, there's a line. I can't print my stuff fast enough. I've actually asked for another 3D printer because the line is like out the door of things that they're making. And this one kid right now has made these Pokemon ball things. And we're on like iteration 3 now, because every time it's almost perfect print. And you know, something's just a little off. And I love how he's going back and he's looking at it and he's like, if I, you know, change the wording some and maybe make it indented or not and do these different things, it's going to be better. And so that's what, to me, making is all about. Is like, it's not going to be perfect. And how do we change it? And how do we make it better? Like, and fail and learn from our failure. And, you know, so that's just one of the many stories I have about making. But I think it's so much fun, and it's just, everybody can be involved in it.
I love that. And I'm sure the Pokeball is something that the student is really excited about now with, I mean, Pokemon Go and all that.
Yeah.
So it's so cool that they're really bringing in their own interests.
Yeah.
Hey, Alyssa, you said you have a line out the door for 3D printing. I'm struggling with that too. How are you managing the line out the door?
So for me, it's literally, we do we have a Google Doc, like a Google form that they fill out. And then when it comes in on that, or then if not, like sometimes, and then they have to email me their STL file, and it's just who comes in, you know, which email comes first. We just do it in that order. And so that's sort of how I control it. But I'm struggling because I can only print so many in a day. And some days I can't even get to printing them because you have to watch the machine a little. And so the kids just know that they have to wait, you know, and they can't get everything all at once. And they're getting used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that puts a little more thought between iterations. Like if they know that it's going to be a couple of days before they can get back in the queue, I'm getting like kids who will think about it a little more before just bringing back a second draft, having done like one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And but there's still the kids that are like, Miss Malespina, when are you going to print my dog? When are you going to print my dog? When are you going to print my dog? And I'm like, you're going to
Not today.
Miss Malespina has 30 other things to do. But you know, like, but it's still, they have, you know, it can't be instant gratification. And I think our children always want instant gratification. So I think with making and building, it's not always instant gratification. And I think that's a skill that they need to learn too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me think, a fun story. So today was super fun because I'm kind of a history buff. And I have a 7th grade class in making cipher machines.
Wow.
Which is so fun. So fun. So like we got to teach them about the different kinds of codes there were, like the Caesar shift and doing like binary code. And then I gave them a bunch of choices. So they have Arduinos or Pis or cardboard or whatever to make a machine that generates or solves the code. And we're watching The Imitation Game. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super good movie. The like pairs, the history with the making, and
yeah,
it seemed very like zen and copacetic in this project.
Yeah.
Like, bring it all together in a thing.
That's a really wonderful cross-curricular tie too, that you really bringing it into history and into other spaces.
And they're so excited. Like my super nerdy math girls are like, yeah, I'm gonna write a Caesar shift in binary, and like, you just go for it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but you go for it.
It's like, have a good time.
That's
we're getting a few questions actually from folks who are watching us right now. The first one that just came in is some folks are wondering about if you're an outside organization or an engineer, professional engineer, what are the best ways for people or organizations like that to give back to making in libraries? Is it through mentoring or maybe donating money, or what, in your opinion, is the best way for someone like that to support?
I would say all of the above, what you just said to me. I can always use money. Always use money.
I don't think anybody in public school would ever say no to money.
No, I mean, that's like number one. And it's funny because we just had a conversation today with my supervisor, and the whole part of the conversation was, how do we switch public school funding in a way that supports making? Because making is a consumable. It's not like we can order ahead and be like, I need, 10 of these and I'm going to need 10 of those. Well, if the kid chooses that, 30 kids might want that. And so I think that, any way that funding can be given to schools, which makes it flexible enough that we can spend it in a way, would be excellent. And then I am all for like mentors or people to come in and talk.
Yeah, volunteering would be awesome. We're always looking for club sponsors. And if we can get parents in to do club sponsorship, that really makes it easier on especially librarians, because we have not just, the kids in the robotics club in the library. We have the robotics club going on. We got your Dungeons and Dragons people, you got your Minecraft people. So like we have 6 or 8 groups all at the same time.
Sure.
So if we have volunteers or parent mentors, then they get more attention and more help. And that really is very valuable.
Yeah.
That's great. Another question from the audience, a little more specific and practical. They're wondering about your favorite 3D printing programs and software, or what are you currently using? Sounds like you're having some challenges with whatever you're using.
Tinkercad is my go-to. I mean, it is the best 3D making software I found for children. That in order to have not a large learning curve, and it works with Chromebooks too. We're a Chromebook school, so that's been really good too. And nothing's downloaded. I mean, the Mobi app is Mofi. I always say that wrong.
Yeah, Mobi. I like them too.
They're good too, but I found that the one that I think you can do the most with so far out of all the ones out there, I really think is Tinkercad. That's just for me. I don't know.
My favorite is Google SketchUp, but I have a really, really amazing CTE teacher who is like,
Yeah.
none of this would happen without her. And she really likes 1, 2, 3D. So
That's a good one too.
what we've done, especially kids who go through her class and then come out and are still 3D printing, which is, you know, amazing that they extend that learning and get really inspired in her class, is that we're giving them options. So like, here's Tinkercad and you can look at that, and then here's SketchUp and you can look at that, and then here's 1, 2, 3D. So you can look at that too, and like having them have that range of options to work on is, you know, helpful.
I agree. We don't have that. We haven't gotten that background knowledge in yet. So I don't have the ability to teach them it. So I wish I had like a teacher we have a teacher now that is starting to teach them some of this so that they're coming out with something. But until then, they get that background knowledge. It's, you know, some of these apps are a little easier for kids to use than others.
Definitely. And we'll make sure to post links. These are, as far as I know, these are all free apps. So we'll make sure to post links for folks out there to go ahead and check them out as well. Shifting gears a little bit, libraries, as everyone I'm sure knows, are not new. They're not a new thing, but I think that what's really amazing about your work and the work of other maker librarians is how it can really change the way that young people engage with the library. And so I'd love to explore that a little bit and just get your thoughts on how have students engaged with your libraries differently, or what are some things that were kind of unexpected engagements that came from bringing making into your libraries?
I think making in the library changes the conversations that kids have in the library. Mm-hmm. So students who wouldn't really, you know, roll in the same circles will have really interesting and engaging conversations about whatever it is they're doing because they're making something interesting.
Sure.
So kids who are, you know, doing battle bots with Legos will now talk to the kids who are like, oh, that seems interesting. What are you doing? Or one time we hung up in the library, we have this big glass wall, and we hung up x-rays, and they were all bizarre x-rays. Like there was one of like a dislocated shoulder or a broken hand or somebody who swallowed a key. And we had just had them hung up, and the kids for a project, and the kids who would talk about those x-rays probably would have never spoken to each other in a different context. And it's really interesting how having that open way of moving in the library really helps those conversations happen among and between student groups.
No, that's like, I love that. And I think that is so true that happens. And I also think what happens is it allows children to get a different feel for what a library is. Mm-hmm. And it changes that traditional, like, oh, I don't want to go to the library. It's this quiet place. There's, you know, it's only books or anything like that.
My facial expression interrupted.
Yeah, I know, but it's true, because that's what, you know, there are those children that have that, like, you know, that's what the library is, and it's and that's not the case. So they walk in and they're like, oh my God, you have Lego in here? Like, wait, you know, you've got the Let's Stick It thing, and we're making a collaborative art project. You know, you know, it's a whole different environment for them. And so, like, our children, we have the kids that if they get hurt in gym class, they'll come to the library and you know, there. Mm-hmm. So what did they usually do? They would usually sit around and do, like, you know, play on their computer or do nothing. Well, now they're like on Tinkercad building something and making it. They're on, like, they're, you know, making something with perler beads. They're doing all these things that they wouldn't do otherwise. And they're actually going like, ooh, I don't want to go back to gym class, you know, like, and I love that, because they want to build and they want to make and they want to come and do that. And I think you want that library to be that place. And so,
and we're definitely playing the long game. Like, the kids who are in our libraries now, who are having positive experiences and are saying like, oh, the library is a place to hang out and learn things and talk about things and make things, their children will also be coming to this library. So it's not just the kids who are in front of us today, it's also the kids who are going to be in front of us in 25 years that we are changing the nature of libraries, not just for this generation, but for the next one and the one after that as well. So if we can make the library a positive, interesting, cool place to be, that's a long game. It's not the short game, for sure.
It's true. And then what's funny is in the short game, because I had kids that, like, I switched my library. I got to this new library and like switched it all around from where it was. And then I have high school kids that come back to mentor and they're like, what? Wasn't it like this when I was here? So you get like the, you know, you get the short term, the long term that you're talking about, but you also see the like short term, like, I want my library to be like that. Why can't we, you know, where was this when we were here?
That's really great.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I got the current library I'm in about 2 years ago and switched it probably before school started. I took out the circulation desk and the little buzzy buzzers that like tell you can't take that book, and some of those had to go like immediately. The science teacher lent me a hacksaw that just like
so we have another audience question. We have someone wondering about how you've gotten support and buy-in from administration around these changes you've made in your libraries.
Oh, good question. Do you want to go first? Do you want?
Yes, I have the most amazing superintendent in the universe.
You do. Is it Pam? Is Pam your superintendent?
Yes.
I thought so. I love Pam. Pam, if you're watching this, you know I love you.
So Pam Moran is my superintendent. She is amazing. She was a finalist for the Superintendent of the Year last year. She has been so supportive of the libraries and the changes in the libraries, because I think, and one of the things I've always loved and admired about Pam is that what matters most is the kid, period.
Yeah.
So it matters most if the kid is learning, if they are happy, if they are comfortable, if they are moving forward in their intellectual life. So many times in conversation with her and with my own administrators, whoever can say what is best for the kid wins.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter like if it's convenient or if it's expensive or, you know, whatever, we can figure out all those details. It really comes down to what is best for kids. And in Albemarle, that's the trump card. And I think that's how this happens, is that even with all the craziness and the loud and the trash and la la la, it's absolutely what's best for kids.
And and you're right. And Pam is that. And I mean, like, I'm lucky to know Pam some and have interacted with her, and I'm like a huge Pam fan. And it's funny, I just saw her she was at School Library Journal Conference the other week, and she got to meet my superintendent, who I brought, who did become Superintendent of the Year this year. And he is also very supportive. And he really brought me in. He knew of me prior, and he wanted me here at the school to help make those changes. And he's starting to see the values of the library and what, you know, librarians can do and bring, and he's starting to make those changes. We're seeing that in the high school too, and, you know, hopefully moving down to the elementary school next year, is that he sees and he gets it. And if you have an administration that gets it and it's the more supportive, it's gonna make things better. But you as a teacher need to show them and help them understand how that to do.
There is a lot of co-teaching and really shifting the conversation towards project-based learning. Yeah. And as a librarian, we really have the space and the time and the supplies to make that intersection of ideas and information into a project that the teachers can see and understand and do. I had a teacher this year who came down and said, and if he's listening, he knows that this happened, it's whatever. So he said, I really hate the unit on conversion and measurement, so let's do that. Thanks. Yay! So, but it turned into a really cool and interesting maker project, and he loved it.
Right.
And we're going to do it again. But moving the conversation away from worksheets and multiple choices to project-based learning is within the purview of the library and makes us, as instructional leaders, be able to like turn the boat a little bit.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think this is not a like, it happens overnight, people, like,
right now.
Not at all. Like, and you hear all of us talk and you're like, oh, you know, they've got it together. No, I am like 2 years into this school and we are not even close to like where she's at yet. You know, my teachers aren't fully there yet. They're getting there. We're seeing baby steps towards that, but it's gonna take time because it's a whole new thinking and doing things. So this isn't like a overnight process. Like now you've got a makerspace, everybody's making, it's all good. No,
there's tremendous risk involved for the teacher.
Yeah.
You know, state testing is a real thing and teachers depend on those scores for their evaluations. We are lucky in Albemarle, but not every district is as lucky as we are in our administration, and earning the trust of the teachers to be able to take that risk is pretty epic. So if you get that chance, definitely take it and pat yourself on the back because you have earned the trust of that teacher, and that is a big deal.
That's great. We have time for one more audience question. This one is they're wondering. So let's say you're an educator who doesn't have a library or doesn't look at the library in the same way as you. What might be your message to that educator as a final word to them of encouragement or support?
So can you ask the question again, just because I'm a little confused by it?
Sure. So the question is, for an educator who doesn't have a library or doesn't view the library in the same way that you might, what would be your message to that educator?
So one, why don't you have a library? Like everybody has a library. But two, I get it. You might not always have that, but you need to try to then reach out and find a way to bring that love of learning, love of making, love of reading to your students in whatever way you can with what you have. So it doesn't have, making does not need to be this expensive thing. Like I'm jealous of her laser, cutter. But I don't have.
If Gabby's watching, thanks for lending me the laser cutter.
Thanks, Gab. Now you can lend me one, but not everybody has that. Not everybody has that money to do that. So you can do dollar store STEM. You can do dollar store making. You guys, Makers Ed is incredible about finding projects and stuff that you do on the cheap, and you don't need all these tools. So yes, having a library, having this space is awesome, and everybody should have a library, and I am determined as ISTE librarian president to advocate for libraries and continue that. But if you don't, you make do with what you have, but don't like give up on not doing it because it's like, oh, I don't have that resource, so I can't do this.
Sure. Well said.
I think I would, repeat, there's a lot of cardboard in my life. So there doesn't have to be, it doesn't require a tremendous amount of cash to get this going. I think my best advice would be to start small with something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And bring that joy and love of learning and trying and failing and trying again back to your classroom. Because you can get in a rut and you can teach the same year 25 times, and that's a drag. So do something that you like, make something that's fun like once, and then, do it again, maybe something else, make crowns, make wands, make, foldable origami Pikachu out of library passes. It's fine to do one thing and have some joy in your educating and not just joy in your learning.
I agree. And I think people sometimes think, oh my God, I can't make because like that looks like I'm doing crafts all day or whatever. But no, it's really not. You're making and you're building and you're doing things. And it's okay. And you know what? It's also okay for it to look like it's play, because it is play. And it's okay. The kids deserve play. They have been tested so much that they deserve some time that is just play, as much as we want to call that.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. Those are both great messages to close us out. As our last little share out, I'd love if both of you could share some of a couple of your favorite resources around making and Maker Ed, and things that you think everyone should take a look at right now.
You can go first, May.
So the thing that everybody should take a look at right now is Instructables.
Yes.
I love Instructables because every time I'm like, I wonder how I could ... There's somebody that's going to try that. It's also a great, because it's kind of a content farm, you can publish to it. So if you have kids doing nonfiction writing, they can make and then publish back to Instructables, which is, so I'm going to go with Instructables as my top resource, maybe How Things Work second, and then The Art of Tinkering by Karen Wilkinson and Mike Petrick third.
Great.
All very good. All very good. YouTube, awesome resource. I mean, you don't understand how many times my kids and I am on YouTube looking up something. It's an amazing resource. But for me, I love anything that Colleen and Aaron Graves do. I mean, I follow her like crazy. She just published the big book of makerspace projects, which is incredible and awesome. And then Diana Rendina, she's got a blog, renovatelearning.com, and it's got some really good makers space stuff in there, and for libraries too. So, they're my go-to people. But I mean, develop a PLN and just learn from them, because that's what I do every day.
Great. Thank you both so much. We will go ahead and share links to all those amazing resources. Those are all great resources that everyone should definitely take a look at. Thank you so much for helping us and being part of this chat. I hope that everyone out there in YouTube land enjoyed this Ask a Maker Educator, and we'll be back next week with another awesome chat.
Bye.
Right.